Harpies are an odd kind of creature. Essentially, they're humans with like the legs and some bird wings, but they try to kill you. Welcome to Concept Log. Today I'm going to be expanding on the lore of the Harpies as presented in the 5th edition Monster Manual. So the first thing I noticed that I think is worth elaborating on is they have the body, legs, and wings of a vulture specifically, not just any bird. What this means is that the harpy could have some other traits of the vulture. This generally means you can eat more rotten food, and this kind of makes sense for harpies because a human buys a lot of food, so they could spread that over the course of a few weeks. The next point of note is the origin story. Essentially, elf lady wants to get down with an elf god, fails, and then another elf goddess is like, here's this ability to sing, maybe that'll fix it, and then that also fails, and then she curses them, and then they curse her. Now this is a big example of a backstory being written to justify a concept, but that's okay. So what this does do though is it does bring up that their origin species is elf. So what we can do with that information is we can actually add a few other elf traits. Elves live a very long time, so I could easily see one or two or three harpies messing with the same area over hundreds of years. Additionally, they have the song. This allows them to draw creatures to them, and that does reflect into their fighting style, where they're incredibly cowardly and try to just lure people into spots where they can kill them. Along with that, they collect shiny items, which you know is just justification for adventurers. Now this is a fairly straightforward monster, but let's see what other lore we can add while we're having fun. The harpy is on the same page as the half-dragon template. Now I think half-dragon harpy would be really cool because now you get the dragon wings, the scale aesthetic. Could be very fun, but what dragon would be most likely to work with harpies? I'm gonna go with the poison, the green dragon. So what you can do is you can have like a green dragon set of harpies. I think this can make for a very intimidating species. I also think we should design like a specific group of harpies and picture like a bandit group, but they're all harpies. Let's say 3 half-dragons leading a set of 8 normal harpies. So the 3 half-dragons, we'll name them Bing Bong Boink, are the leaders, and they vote on whenever they are going to attack or not attack. Because they are so much more powerful than the rest of the harpies, if you take one out, I imagine the rest of the harpies flee, so this could make for a very interesting combat encounter. Because not only are they emboldened by the half-dragons and the numbers, so they might all attack at once, but if you take out one half-dragon, most of them flee and the remaining 2 might still want to fight. If one of those dies, you can then have the last one retreat, and now you have a group of people that may be interested in revenge. Additionally, if they get weapons, they don't have weapons in the player's handbook, and that's probably an intentional balancing thing. But if you give them ranged weapons, be them muskets in some cases or bows in other cases, they could be very deadly. The reason I'm kind of dismissing bows though is because they're not shown to be particularly strong in most artwork, and bows actually have quite the heavy draw strength. But if you are running a setting with guns, a harpy getting their hands on a musket like that's a big game changer for combat because they're already established as mostly cowardly. So you have this harpy creature with a gun, and it's just shooting you from a range, and there's not a ton you can do about that as a species. It's just like a fun, like, base harpy variation. Let's make our own version of harpies. If we take away the evil, what can we do with that species? I think it makes sense that we simply just say that the first harpy was born like that, and then future harpies just kind of drifted off from that trait, making them a more neutral species. And if we do that, then they could easily be traders because they already like collecting stuff. So they go from spot to spot, and they can travel rather quickly as the crow flies, as they say. And that can make for a very neat trading syndicate. Along with that, with their song trait, they could make very strong bards, and that could actually make for non-harpy bards being superseded because they got screwed over by the harpy stealing their job. That could be a very odd trait of a setting.